quick rule of thumb, you can always add more bleach slash sodium hypochlorite to a recipe. It's very hard to take it away and the damage is already done. Hey guys, Dan here, and so today I want to address one of y'all's most popular questions on my channel, and that is mixing bleach. Still to this day, mixing bleach. And also I get a lot of comments about brands of different magical potions and if they should use them or not. So 30-second outdoor cleaner. So this is on the shelf behind me in that room way back there, right? That's the lab. This 30-second outdoor cleaner. So people swear by it. And I'm not here to bash 30-second outdoor cleaner. I'm really not. And it might be convenient for a lot of people. I don't know why, because you don't run it straight. This is concentrate. It's $11.50 for 1 gallon, and it's a concentrate, which means you have to mix it, which means you have to dilute it. So if you're going to dilute this for $11.50, why don't you dilute what I tell you to dilute for less than half price? And it can go a lot further. And here's the example. The active ingredient and this product contains sodium hypochlorite, and then in parentheses it says bleach. Okay, commercial grade, highly stable, 70% less NaCl, 5%. Okay, proprietary ingredients 1.2%, inner ingredients 93%. This is 5%. So when you watch my videos and I talk about 10%, 12%, 8%, this is 5%. Okay, 5% sodium hypochlorite is what's in here. When you read the instructions on mixing this, it's 1-to-1, meaning you put a cup of this to a cup of water. You put a gallon of this to a gallon of water. If you have a 1-gallon spray bottle, pump up sprayer with a wand, you've seen me do magic with that, you would put a half a gallon of this, so 2 quarts, with 2 quarts water. The problem is it's $11.50 for this right now today at Home Depot. $11.50. You're only going to get 2 gallons out of this. 2 gallons. So if you have a 2-gallon pump-up sprayer for $11.50 and you mix it 1-to-1 as they suggest, you're going to have 2 gallons of recipe to go and spray your house. Well, I hope you live in a single-wide trailer or a tiny home, because that's not going to go very far, because when you're using a backpack sprayer or a hand pump sprayer, there's not a lot of volume going on the surface to help cut through the yuck. Therefore, you're going to have to coat the hell out of it and go back over it a number of times to really get through the yuck. No matter what they say on their ads of any company, and I'm not picking on them particularly, but no matter what it says, you always have to apply it very liberally. And 2 gallons of recipe is not going to go very far. I know this from being in the industry for so long. So $11.50. It's 5% active ingredient, sodium hypochlorite, aka bleach, and you mix it 1-to-1. Okay. With that said, let's put this down, because me personally, I wouldn't spend the money on that. That's not feasible. Okay. Now, let's go with what I do recommend, and let's talk about bleaching recipes, okay? I recommend you go to Walmart, walmart.com, you go to Lowe's, Home Depot, or you go to a pool supply store, and you ask for the 10 or 10.5% sodium hypochlorite. It's chlorinating liquid is what it's called. Pool Essentials is one of the brands at Walmart. There's other brands at Lowe's, other brands at Home Depot. You're going to find them in the outdoor section where they have like pool supply stuff, like the big brooms and poles and nets for cleaning leaves out of a pool. Look around there for chlorinating liquid. You're going to find the 10%. What's the big deal about 10%? For one, you can get it for like $4 to $5 for a gallon. And it's 10%, not 5%. All right. When you get to 10% for half the price of, say, another company, 10%, now you're mixing it to go a lot further. 1 gallon of 10% is going to not make you 2 gallons of recipe. It's going to make you like 4 or 5 gallons of recipe, and at only half the price. So what do I mean by that? First of all, I'm cool with having a pump up sprayer if that's what you have. If that's all that you have, then that's all that you have. And I'm not going to knock you for trying to clean your home. That's rough though. It's going to take a lot of volume to really cut through it, but you can do it. That's why you definitely want to go with like Pool Essentials or 10%. All right. Even if you go with Clorox at Kroger or Publix, Walmart, Aldi's, so something like that, like a brand bleach for your clothes that's coming in at like 7.25% sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach, the active ingredient. That's going to be a stronger concentrate, which means you can mix it thinner, which means for the $3 or $4 for that gallon of bleach to do your laundry, you can mix it, if it's 7.25%, you can mix it thinner than this stuff, which is going to be a 1-to-1. So you end up saving money. And when you're using like a pump up sprayer or a backpack sprayer or something like that, you're going to be using a lot of volume to try to cut the yuck. It's just, you're not going to mist it on and it's just going to magically get 3, 4, 5 years of mildew and algae off the north or west side of your home where mildew grows. Dirt will usually be on your east and south, but mildew is going to be on your north and your west, especially your north. And you're going to find that like around March and April time frame is really when it's like, wow, what the hell happened? I'd never painted my house green. Mother Nature did. Now I'm going to show you how to get it clean again with all my videos. When you're using like a 7.25% or an 8.25%, which you can often find in the concentrate Clorox or something like that, or the Pool Essentials or something similar to Pool Essentials, 10% or 10.5%, man, you can mix that stuff down like big time. All right, in a 2-gallon sprayer, instead of putting 1 gallon of 10.5% and 1 gallon water, you can do maybe a quart, maybe a quart and a half, and then the rest water, and see how that cuts through. Now you're taking a gallon and you're putting a quart into a 2-gallon sprayer. You're stretching this out to 4 gallons. You can't do that with this though, because this is 5%. Nothing against you, 30-second cleaner, but this is 5%. All right. If you go to Dollar Tree, Dollar Store, Dollar General, Family Dollar, you go to the cheaper places and you try to get bleach off the counter or off the shelf, you got to watch out. They're going to be at like 5 or 5.25%. You're not going to be able to move along and go as far with that 5% as you're going to be able to do with like the Pool Essentials 10%. I really want you guys to use Pool Essentials or similar name brand. It's just that Pool Essentials is so common. It's in Walmart. You can buy it by the case load, $4 or $5 a gallon. It used to be like, sometimes you would find it $2.89 a gallon, like on rollback. And man, that's when you store up, man. You go and you get like 20, 25 bottles of that stuff. So let's say you got to 10%, you're using now a quarter of a gallon. You're going to put 1 quart into a 2-gallon pump up sprayer. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to apply it. And if it doesn't cut through the yuck just enough, then add a half a quart more. All right. So, you know, go ahead and apply it and see. You're going to have to learn your recipe. All right. Every neighborhood or, you know, region is going to be a little bit different. Some places going to require a little stronger, some places a little bit less. That would hold true with a brand like this or with anything else you're doing. So it's not because of a fault of the recipe. It's just your region. So you put in a quart, put in, you know, the rest water and see how it cuts. It's going to do a good job. And it's sodium hypochlorite. And so if you're like, oh, but I don't want to use bleach. Well, what do you think you're using here? Sodium hypochlorite. And in all that stuff, it's sodium hypochlorite. It's bleach. Okay. So 10.5% Pool Essentials or similar brand, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, Walmart, maybe Target. I don't know. If you got a Kmart in your area, I think there's one store left standing in the world. And I think it's right next door to the one Blockbuster left in the world. 10.5%, you would go ahead and do 1 quart into a 2-gallon sprayer. If you have a 1-gallon sprayer, then try half a quart. Now, if you're using like 8%, I pretty much do the same recipe. Maybe a quart into a 2-gallon pump up sprayer, maybe just a little bit more, maybe like a quart and then a little splash more, and then see how it works. And if I have to, you can always add a little. Quick rule of thumb, you can always add more bleach slash sodium hypochlorite to a recipe, it's very hard to take it away and the damage is already done. So if you're going along fat, happy, and dumb and you're just spraying overly hot mix onto a house and it's dripping down onto the lawn and it's misting onto the plants, the damage is done. If you're looking in 5 minutes, the house is spotless, yeah, you mixed it too hot. It shouldn't be clean in 5 minutes. You're mixing it too hot. You're wasting your money. Mix it thinner, 20, 25 minutes. That's what you're looking for. That's a good, solid, safe mix that I've found. Doesn't discolor anything, doesn't hurt the plants. Of course, potted plants and stuff with flowers, if you can move them, move them. Take things up, take patio furniture up, get things out of your way. You know, don't purposely soak stuff, but lawns, shrubs, stuff that's planted in the ground, there's really no need to pre-wet them because you're already diluted. So, I mean, you're already pre-wetting. But just go ahead and spray the house. Be careful on super windy days for overspray onto a neighbor's house. You don't want to make their house look like a leopard. And it should take about 20 minutes. So basically, you should be spraying the whole house. And when you're done with the whole house, you come back and you should see that it's really dissolving a lot. I got tons of videos in my pressure wash business playlist that I did real-time filming with no edits, where we just set the camera up and then I fast forward it so you can see, you know, over the course of 15, 20 minutes, the green stuff just go away and you got nice, clean vinyl. All right, so that's using a pump up sprayer, okay? And that's what like they recommend this with, 1-to-1. You can't use this stuff in a pressure washer because pressure washers are like a 10-to-1 ratio or a 20-to-1 ratio in my situation. My pressure washer was 20-to-1. So you're talking 20 parts water to 1 part of this. You might as well, I mean, you know, this is 1-to-1. So how are you going to use 10-to-1? You're not. It would be like pissing in the ocean. It's just not going to work. So with that said, this is really good for your pump up sprayers, and that's exactly what it shows too, a pump up type sprayer. Nothing against this, has its purpose I'm sure, but not for me, and kind of hard in a business sense, because in a business sense you need to save money, be efficient, move along, and it's gonna be hard to do that with this. Maybe for a homeowner this is cool, but what's the purpose of this when you can just buy bleach? You're gonna white your clothes anyways. Concentrate bleach or Pool Essentials goes a lot further. That's the point. 1 gallon of Pool Essentials, 10.5%, can make you 4 gallons of recipe. 1 gallon of this at twice the cost will only make you 1 gallon of recipe. So that's using a pump up sprayer. Now, if you're using a pressure washer, it would help to know what your downstream chemical injector is rated at. Maybe on the injector it'll say, but look, if you're using a very low cost pressure washer like a 1.8 to a max of 3.0 gallon per minute pressure washer, you're probably up there in like the 20-to-1 range. And that's where I was with my 4 gallon per minute one. When you're using a 10%, a pressure washer, and it's rated like, you know, 2.8 gallon per minute up to 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 gallon per minute, it's a lot of volume going on at one time. All right, that's why you can move really fast. When you're using a backpack sprayer or a hand pump sprayer, it's a mist going on. And that's why it's going to take you a lot longer. And that's why you sometimes have to mix it stronger when you're doing that. All right, so when you're like, well, it doesn't make sense, your 20-to-1 pressure washer is way weaker than your 7-to-1 pump-up sprayer if you're using a 2-gallon pump-up sprayer. And so that's what we discussed earlier, right? Well, it's because of volume. All right, a pressure washer is just going to put a buttload more volume on, which means you're putting a buttload more chemical on. And so that gives the yuck more opportunity to get eaten up and destroyed. When you're using the sprayer, it's just a mist going on. And so you have to sit there and really apply it liberally to try to get it to soak. So you're going to use up a 2-gallon sprayer more, which is why I was saying earlier, my numbers were a little bit off because I get confused sometimes when I talk. But when you're using a 2-gallon sprayer and you're using something like the 30-second cleaner stuff, you know, you got to go 1-to-1. And so for $11, you're making 2 gallons. But when you use something like the Pool Essentials 10%, 10.5%, and you do it the way I say to do it, go 7 to 1, you can go ahead. You're only using a quarter of that gallon. So you could, and that's to make 2 gallons. So now you're making 8 gallons of recipe for half the price. So 2 gallons versus 8 gallons for half the price. What are you going to do? But with the pressure washers, you're putting on a lot more volume, so you can move a lot faster. A typical house, 1,700 square foot house, a few dormers here and there, stuff like that, double car garage door, all of that, little front entranceway that you would see. I'd use like 3 or 4 1-gallon jugs of the 10.5%. Or if I bought a 15-gallon barrel or something like that, I'd stick the siphon hose straight in there and pretty much just suck it right out of that, or pour it into a 5-gallon bucket and suck it right out of that. So the recipe is a lot easier when you're using a pressure washer if you're using anything 10.5% and down. All right, so it's pretty much straight with a pressure washer, and then add an ounce of Dawn as a soap to help loosen up the dirt, and it makes water wetter. That's a surfactant, that's a soap, and it helps get the water underneath the dirt lifted off the surface, and then when you come back and rinse, it just rinses right off. Tons of videos, I show you guys how to do that. So now if you get into like the 12% or the 12.5%, I think it's 10%, and then you got 12.5% as your next one. 12.5% is some really, really freaky hot stuff, okay? It won't just put your jeans like a white spot. It'll burn a hole in your jeans and tattoo your skin with a nice little chemical burn. That stuff's no joke. Whenever I ran 12.5%, which was very limited, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not comfortable using it. It's way too strong. I used to thin that stuff down so much, and it would still do a good job. And you're like, well, why? It's only 2.5% more. How come the 10% you run it the same as you run, say, 8% or 7.25%? That's such a little difference. Well, the 7.25%, like concentrate Clorox, takes a little bit more dwell time and sometimes a second coat. The 10% just ran straight through the pressure washer, wouldn't need a second coat. It would usually get it all the first time with no issues. 12.5%, I didn't run that stuff straight, okay? I would dilute that, and then I would put it into my siphon. And you're like, but that's way weak. It is. And remember what I said way back at the beginning of the video. You can always add to your recipe. You can't take it away once you spray it. The damage is done. So when you're gonna go ahead and like use the 12.5%, my recommendation would be take like a 5-gallon bucket, put 2 gallons of 12.5 in, 1 gallon of water. All right, so now you have a 3-gallon mix ready to siphon in for further dilution. See how that works. That should be pretty safe. And if it doesn't cut through the yuck, you could always add a little bit more. You got a 5-gallon bucket, you only put 3 gallons in it. So 2 parts of the 12.5%, 1 gallon water. 2 gallons, 12.5, 1 gallon water, about 3 ounces of Dawn. Siphon it into your pressure washer, see how it works. My recommendation, guys, unless you're pro level, doing this big time for a living, and you really want to stretch your sodium hypochlorite out, and you got some really good experience, then you start dabbling with that 12.5% or hotter. If you're not, if you're just a local Yoko, working on the weekends, go buy, 12 bottles of Pool Essentials and go do 3 houses. That's probably your safest and your best bet overall. It's not so hot. It's not going to burn you as easily as that 12.5%. And just follow my recipe. And that 10% is pretty safe for all pressure washers, for like the way they would mix it. It's not going to be too strong. The 12.5%, like I said, you can stretch that out. Now, you can, for every 2 gallons of the 12.5% you get, you can make 3 gallons of mix, 3 gallons of recipe. So that would save you money in the long run and be more efficient. And that's what I'm all about, is trying to be more efficient. But there's also a level of comfort, and my comfort level was to 10%. I did not like the 12.5%. I wasn't comfortable buying it. I wasn't comfortable using it. And I just stuck to the 10.5%. So anyways, like I said from the start, I'm not trying to bash like 30-second cleaner or any of those companies. I just want you to understand what you're getting. Like all that marketing stuff that they talk about, it's 5% bleach, which means 1 to 1. You have to mix it. Got to mix it super strong in order for it to be effective, which means you have to use a lot of it. And that is just not cost effective, damn bug. So go to the stores, look at like 7.25 up to 10%, I guess, or 10.5%. Look in that spectrum. And if you got a pressure washer, from 10.5% down, run it straight. If you got a pump up sprayer, then do like I said earlier on. And if you're gonna only use the 12.5% or higher, be super duper careful. And yeah, so I hope this helps you guys out and answer some more of the questions. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. All right, I've been doing this for years and years and years, and nothing's changed, and nothing will ever change. And there's no amount of advertising or marketing that's ever going to turn me away from my recipe. It's super effective. It's readily available everywhere. It works really well, and it's pretty safe the way I use it, and it's very cost effective. So hope that helped you guys out, and so I'll see you guys on the next one.